What's up everyone, Vu of NVU Films back with another video, and today we'll be talking about some of these new releases that I've seen lately, especially with APS-C cameras. You're looking at the Canon R10, Canon R7, and of course Fujifilm recently released the X-H2s or something like that. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but the past couple years, I felt like this video niche has kind of fallen off the cliff. And I'm not saying there's still not good content out there, but a large chunk of this type of content relies on new gear, new cameras, new lenses, etc. To like build excitement, to get people to watch the channel, to get people to subscribe. It's an easy way to get your video, get your channel out there working with algorithm, because like so many people are posting about the same things all at once. And it may seem like it is, but I'm not doing this video because the Canon R10, R7, and the Fujifilm X-H2s was just released yesterday, and I'm trying to hit up this algorithm. And of course, Sony just released 3 new APS-C lenses. I believe it's like an 11 f1.8, 10 to 20 f4 or something like that, and a 15mm f1.4 APS-C lens. Very cool, very nice focal lengths, aperture range lenses, but it just hasn't really excited me. None of these releases have excited me. Even like A7IV didn't excite me. It's because I feel like the A7S3, Canon R6, Canon R5, maybe for you, non-autofocusing type folks, are really appreciative of the Panasonic S5. But yeah, it just seems to, nothing excites me. But with that said, today I'm actually going to, before you guys start pre-ordering, before you guys go crazy out there, if you're trying to buy a new camera, if you're a Sony APS-C shooter thinking about switching back and forth, whatever, First of all, I am a Sony fanboy D-bag, so let's just put that out there. There might be a bias here and there because I'm a Sony fanboy D-bag, and I just figured I'd let you know that right off the bat. So I actually want to compare Sony a7IV versus some of these APS-C releases. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about S5 too, the Panasonic S5. I don't know, because that thing is like very powerful camera for like really cheap. It's like $1,600, $1,700. But the new Canon R7, which is the better one of the APS-C cameras, is, I believe, $1,500, $1,600 or something like that. So a good bit cheaper than the a7IV. And the new Fujifilm X-H2s is a solid $2,500, which is the same price as the a7IV. A7IV is a full frame camera. I know that. And to be quite honest, Sony doesn't really have any APS-C cameras out right now that matches with the Fujifilm and the Canon. And I guess that kind of sucks for Sony. But at the same time, I feel like there's 2 people that really benefit from APS-C cameras. And I think with the overall size of the X-H2s and the Canon R7, R10 and stuff, kind of defeats that purpose. But it's really the size of the camera and the size of the lenses that you could get with it for traveling, for vlogging, things of that nature. But as like a pro photographer, as a person who wants to like elevate their photography, especially with cell phones being as good as they are with computational photography, you want to get the biggest advantage you can with your photography, professional photography camera. You might as well go full frame, because full frame image, in my opinion, from my own experiences using Fuji X-T4, X-T3, Sony a6 series, and full frame, for photography, full frame 100% of the time. Now, for videographers, it's different. For vloggers, it's, obviously it's nice to have a light body, light lens, things of that nature. And, for the most part, you get a lot of better specs, things of that nature. Like you could push it more when you have a smaller sensor. You know, see the C70, see the A7IV in APS-C mode, and obviously see the new R7 and the Fuji film cameras. You know, 4K 60, I believe 4K 120, 6K 30 on the X-H2s. Really cool stuff. And I'm not, you know, ragging on these cameras at all, but the real benefit to APS-C, in my opinion, is for just maybe regular people who just wants to travel and vlogging video, or, you know, for us professional video guys, you know, the APS-C cameras are cheaper. So, you know, they're used for like B, C cameras for our main cameras. In my case, I'm using a Sony a7S III. And I've actually been using my a7IV as a C camera for professional stuff, corporate, weddings, things of that nature. And I actually been using it to vlog for my other channel. You know, reason why I have it is obviously like kind of running out of ideas sometimes for this channel. But the reality is the a7IV, if you compare it to the Canon R7, top of the line APS-C one they have, and the Fuji X-H2s, they're like the same size body wise, same weight even. And if you look at like for, you know, photography, let's be honest here, you know, I don't care about like how fast, you know, it could shoot, all this stuff. The 33 megapixel sensor out of Sony a7IV is going to win every time. Not only because it's a bigger sensor, but if you combine like the lenses that are available for the E-mount system, it's not even close. You know, you're talking about third-party lenses, even Sony lenses, whatever. It's just all over the place. You cannot go wrong buying a lens on an E-mount. Autofocus might be like missing 1 or 2 shots here and there. That's like the difference between like the best ones and the worst ones. And even though those 1 or 2 shots might be missed, it's still better than the Fuji autofocus system. I know a lot of you Fuji fans is going to tell me that I'm, you know, a Sony fanboy, but again, I've used a Fuji X-T3, X-T4. I've owned those cameras before. The autofocus is not great. And, you know, a lot of the reviews might say the new Fuji X-H2s, you know, has great autofocus too. I don't know. You know, based on the reviews I watch, I think they're lying, or they're blind. You know, I understand getting your eyes checked, you know, eye insurance could be pretty pricey, especially here in the States. So yeah, they need to get that checked out. But with regards to specs, okay, if you look at the Sony a7IV as an APS-C video camera, it could do 4K 24 full frame, and it looks great. And I've actually been using that as my vlog camera with the Samyang 18mm f2.8 lens. This lens is so small and so light, but most importantly, it's f2.8, and it is so light, you don't even feel it. Pretty much beyond just the specs. So you're looking at 4K 24, 4K 60, S-Log3, 10-bit 422 internally, right? All the various codecs you want to use. And then if you look at the APS-C 1080p, 1080p, 24, 60, and 120, I'm going to be quite honest with you. When I look at the crop sensor, the APS-C mode 1080p for the a7IV, it is so incredibly sharp. It actually looks very, very close to 4K unless you like really punch in Pixel Peep. It is that nice. So then if you look at the Fuji film, 4K 60, 4K 120 with the crop, and you lose autofocus, you know, I guess the main benefit is that 6K, you know, the 6K full sensor, you know, the APS-C sensor. But overall, for $2,500, you have an a7IV, which is full frame, that you could take full frame photos, but then you could also film 4K full frame, 24, you know, 13 stops dynamic range or whatever, and S-Log3. And you have APS-C mode that can do 4K 60, up to 4K 60, and then you have 1080p, which actually looks pretty dang close to 4K. I just feel like it's hard to compete against the Sony a7IV if, you know, you got a person looking to switch to a different system and they're looking at Fuji or Sony, or if it's like a new person wanting to buy a new camera and they're looking at Fuji or Sony. I feel like the Sony is a no-brainer, because not only because like 4K, 10-bit 422, S-Log3, all that stuff. But again, I'm talking about lenses. You know, you don't have to get Sony G Master lenses or Sony lenses to have great lenses. You have other options out there for Sony. You have Sigma. Sigma has the 1855 f2.8. You know, Samyang, you know, 45 f1.8. Look at the size of this lens. It's like a $200 lens. I think this is also like a $200 lens. It's so cheap. You know, especially if there's a pre-owned market, if that's what you want to go to. The 24 f1.8 here, Samyang, I use this for like more of my rugged, I go out and vlog. If I break the lens, I don't care. I do have a 24mm GM as well. And to be quite honest, this lens, this Samyang 24 f1.8 comes really dang close. I'm talking about, you really have to nitpick quite a bit to see the image quality difference. The 24 does autofocus in video a little bit more consistently, but that doesn't mean this is a bad lens. Like, it doesn't matter what lens you get for the Sony system, they're gonna autofocus really great. Especially if you compare it to the Fujifilm autofocus, which is, I'll be quite honest with you, it's sometimes you just might not, it's just cumbersome. You know, I almost feel like I have to keep an eye on it, to keep touching the screen almost as actively as I would if I was just rack focusing on the lens. But that's for, and you know, also, you could use the cheaper APS-C lenses, and of course, you could still use these full frame lenses in APS-C mode and you'd be fine. It's just so much more versatile. There's so much more lens variety to choose from, varying prices for varying budgets for the Sony a7IV. And I think, you know, if you look at Canon, yeah, that's pretty cheap. But, you know, I think it's limited to 4K 60. You know, Canon autofocus is good, and it's $1,000 cheaper. So I could see the Canon being a very good value, you know, great autofocus and stuff like that. And I think, you know, if I want to touch on the S5, the downside of the Panasonic S5 is autofocus is nowhere nearly as good as the a7IV or the Canons, or, you know, it might be closer to the Fuji, but Fuji probably has a little bit of step on it because of the phase detection. Now, Canon also lacks some lenses because I think they did not open up the RF mount completely for all the, you know, all the third-party manufacturers to be able to develop lens for them. They're kind of strict in that regard with the RF mount. So that's another downer for the Canon, you know. But then you have to think, as a Canon owner or a person who wants to go Canon, you know, the full frame R6 is just not too much more, just slightly a bit more increase, and then you could get an R6. But yeah, like right now, Sony doesn't really have a legitimate APS-C contender, like high level APS-C camera contender that does both video and photo well. I think the APS-C cameras for Sony could probably do photo just as nice as Fuji, you know, raw, whatever. You know, people like to edit their own stuff. We could talk about color in a different video. And most of you know what I feel about color science. It's like, you know, no one shoots straight at a camera. And if you do step up your game, you need to start color grading, doing your own look for your photos and your video. Yeah, again, it's going to sound very, very biased. But right now, if I was looking for an entry-level camera that could do both hybrid shooting very well, photo, video at a professional level with the plethora of lenses to choose from. Another thing to note, if you do buy the Canon, you're probably going to spend as much money on lenses, and next thing you know, it's going to be more expensive than your whole a7IV kit. You could literally like kit out your a7IV with a bunch of lenses you could definitely kit out your A7 IV with additional lenses for cheaper than you would pay for lenses for Fuji or Canon. That's a fact. You can scroll B&H, check that out. But yeah, that's my opinion, guys. I appreciate you watching this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Until next time, line up.
Hey man, what key light you use?
Hey, I actually just started using the Nanlite 300B.
Oh my god, you waste your money on that trash. You could buy the cheaper China light.
Actually, Nanlite Aperture, they're actually made in China also.
See, they make all the light in China. Why you waste your money on all the name brand trash?
Yeah, but the name brand lights actually do a lot more R&D, it seems like, and like their light accuracy is like much better than like these cheaper ones.
Let me show you. Hey man, my name Fuck my butt and welcome to my master class. Today I will show you how to do the cinematic filmic lighting. What you done, you become award winning. You become the best.
That white balance looks so off, it looks like you're using RGB.
No man, it's not the light. It's the best Canon color shine.